Thank you very much to A41 for putting together such a fantastic event so far. Great to see so many friends here as well. My name is Alex Lipton. I manage ecosystem growth and business development at SSV Labs, with the core contributors to SSV Network. And effectively, what we do on a day-to-day basis in my team is we help to enable different projects to build on SSV Network. I really leverage the next generation of gold standard DVT technology. The core team is really excited to be celebrating the 1.4 million ETH milestone staked on SSV Network, which is really surpassing even the most bullish expectations of the core team since we went live on mainnet last year. And that's really thanks to our amazing community of partners, some of which are in the room today. So thanks for everybody for really trusting SSV as a technology, maturing it, and getting your hands dirty with DVT. So a little bit about SSV Network to give you a sense of scale. That's 3.5 or close to $3.5 billion of ETH staked on SSV today. Anyone that's running a validator at SSV could earn up to 30% APY boost. And that's a program in place really to boost APY, really giving you the economic incentives to move legacy validators over to a DVT setup. So the talk I want to give everyone today is really about DVT as the missing link and what we could do as an industry to accelerate the approvals of ETFs and ETPs, and really making sure as an industry, we make sure that we defeat stake centralization and really put best practices in place that when these products accelerate and go live, that we're continuing to stick to the core ethos of Ethereum and make sure we have a safe entry into ETFs and they're distributed in the proper manner. But to those in the room that don't know what DVT is, and it's a new topic to you, essentially it allows you to take your validator key for an Ethereum validator node, split it into multiple key shares, and have these key shares assigned to different independent node operators who effectively could run a validator. This has some really nice properties because tying everything together, there's a QBFT consensus and threshold signatures. So say if I have a cluster of 4 and one of my operators goes down, no big problem whatsoever. I still have 3 there who can keep everything up and running and make sure that my validator continues to attest and continues to propose blocks. So really providing no single point of failure. So it's really ideal for any product that's launching anything that requires a validator, whether that be an LST or an LRT or institutions, which is the topic of the call today, and really looking at the requirements they have and the criteria that they need to be able to have their products approved and to run safely for end investors. So with that in mind and introductions out the way, what I want to do is just to paint a timeline for you as an industry and where we've come from, the type of challenges that we face, and the opportunities going forward, and what are the new set of challenges that we're going to be running into. So just to set out the timeline, so as you know, Ethereum was originally conceived as a proof of work chain, and with the merge, we had the advent of a lot of the original liquid staking protocols, a lot of the initial staking service providers and pooled staking solutions, really providing the necessary backbone and infrastructure to power the proof of stake Ethereum chain as we know it today. SSV was launched in 2023, but in actual fact, it goes back a few years before that. SSV initially received a grant from the Ethereum Foundation to do some deep research into DVT to power the decentralized roadmap going forward. And through a number of years on testnet and iteration on the design, really after battle testing it, went live on mainnet in 2023. As an industry, we went to the next level of innovation with LRT-Fi, really powering a lot of the boom and narrative within the year and the last year. And in 2024, this year, we saw the approval of USA spot ETFs, which is really a paradigm shift in the Ethereum landscape, but in actual fact, ETFs have been around for a few years, and today we actually have some staking ETFs, but there's really going to be a narrative that we're going to see in the next 3 to 5 years, which I want to talk a little bit more about as well. So to give you a sense of the state of staking today, there's I pulled out some highlight statistics just to see what the starting point is as an industry. We have 1 million validators, but because of the dynamics of the market, a lot of this, because we need to scale these staking products, really just 52% of stake is controlled by 5 companies, 50% located in just 3 countries. Because these infrastructure providers itself have a set of preferences in which clients they like to use, we potentially are running into supermajority issues. In an ideal world, if all remains equal, with technologies such as DVT, we'll be moving into a state where a lot of these headline centralization vectors are actually going to be improving. But in my opinion, that's not going to be the case because not all is going to remain equal. ETFs are coming, staking is going to be approved soon, and we're going to be running into the same set of scenarios where centralization is going to be a big topic again. So what is the role of SSV in this new age of staking and ETFs? So I've done some deep research into the ETF market, and what I found globally is that we have about 40 products that physically hold spot ETH for their ETF product. It's representing about $9.2 billion, so fairly sizable. There are a number of jurisdictions that offer staking products today. However, it is just 10 out of the 40. That's $1 billion of AUM. That's TradFi for TVL. And it's about 1.2% of staked ETH concentration. So really just a drop in the ocean and the entire staking landscape. Just to break down where these products are held, there's a number of jurisdictions. USA is, of course, the granddaddy of where all the AUM is today. That's due to the deep liquid capital markets and pool of investors that are there. We've seen massive inflows since they launched recently, and as well as some other products in other jurisdictions too, who are leading the way in terms of the innovation and the regulatory side. So ETFs are here. We know that. They're coming in thick and fast, but actually very few of them actually participate in securing the network. There's just a few. I've got some flags here of those jurisdictions who are at the forefront in actually enabling these products to be approved. It's spread across. So if I mentioned the $1 billion of TVL compared to Lido's $23 billion, it's a long way to go to getting parity. But of course, these ETFs are incredibly important because they allow the next tens and hundreds of millions of users who aren't crypto native, don't necessarily trust crypto native platforms, but will go with a crypto brokerage or hold it in a tax advantaged account. And staking is an important element to that because it's all about passing those end yields to the end users and also bringing management fees down. So it's my opinion that staking is inevitably coming for these ETFs, particularly in the USA. But a lot of these jurisdictions are closely monitoring what's happening at Canada, Sweden, Switzerland, to make sure that the regulation is right, and most of all, protecting end investors. The regulators care first and foremost that people have a safe place to invest, and if people are going to the unregulated markets to stake, from the regulator's point of view, that's not good. They'll eventually be looking to enable staking in the ETFs so people have a safe place to do it. So if you're for the ETF issuers out there, it's a completely different set of requirements and criteria that they need to actually enable staking within their ETF compared to the LRTs that maybe are in the room that want to launch a product tomorrow. I'm just going to pick out about 5 of these just to dive into why DVT is going to be incredibly important to actually getting these products off the floor, up and running and approved. Firstly is the regulatory framework. So at SSV, we've already started to speak to these ETF issuers, and they have conversations with regulators very frequently. And one of the questions they get is, what are you doing about slashing risk? What's your point of view with offline risk? How are you going to protect your end investors? DVT for these issuers is a way to position this and say, we're going to protect investors by implementing DVT, thereby slashing an offline risk is mitigated. For staking service providers themselves, these ETF issuers will want to pick a partner that provides the necessary SLAs, the customer service and support, and all around a trusted relationship that they can rely upon. Within SSV itself, we're implemented as a DVT network, with which you can pick any over 900 operators to pick and choose who you want to participate in your cluster. What's more, we have staking service providers who are implementing DVT APIs, which run their validators on SSV network as a whole. Liquidity is, I think, a fascinating topic to look into for ETF issuers. ETFs are a continually traded product, and redemptions need to be fulfilled. So within Ethereum staking, we have a withdrawal queue. So how do we get around this? Perhaps some proportion of the ETH will be staked, some proportion in LSTs, and some proportion with tokenized validators, which is a concept that's coming a lot. When adopting LSTs themselves, obviously a massive amount of due diligence needs to go in, and one of those components is, what does their validator set look like? Which operators are run, and is DVT used? Custody solutions, same as staking service providers. A strong partner needs to be picked. With SSV, there's integrations with custody providers that provide the necessary key management, integrated with institutional staking service providers. With OFAC compliant relays, they need to, obviously, at the direction of the regulator, need to run certain relays to make sure they're not proposing any blocks or attestations from Kim Jong-un or any unregulated party. With the validator setup itself, the jurisdiction may require, look, you may need to run all your validators in Indonesia if your ETF is launching in Indonesia. These are the considerations that need to be kept in mind, and where DVT can really serve a role in making sure that ETFs that involve staking are issued in a safe place that have the proper distribution. One of the big future risks is with Petra update. So with EIP 7251, we're going to see an increase in max effective balance. This means that we're going to have even more ETH concentrated onto one validator. So making sure you have a secure and safe setup to run a validator itself is going to be ever more important. As well, if attestations are missed and you lose rewards, in ETH staking today with just 32 ETH on your validator, you're not losing out on a massive amount of rewards. But say if I've got 2,048 ETH in a validator, that's quite a significant sum. So when you're protecting end investors, particularly retail investors, making sure that you get the max amount of rewards is important. A DVT is a way to make sure that you get that fault tolerance, resiliency, making sure you're up close to 100% of the time. So to conclude and tie everything together, ETFs and ETPs are really here. They're coming in thick and fast. I think as an industry, this is an area we need to, pay a lot of focus to. Within staking itself, when staking is enabled, it's going to suck up a lot of the staked ETH in the validator space. Really, to have them participate in the network and to secure, we need to be very prudent as an industry that it's carefully implemented, really make sure it sticks to the core ethos of Ethereum, which really runs best when decentralization is paramount. So, yeah, thanks everyone.